China, Russia, and the major European countries played out in the region through intensifying militarism and the waging of US-led wars in the form of wars of aggression, proxy wars, and the so-called soft wars, which is the systematic use of economic, legal, psychological, and electronic methods in a non-violent war. Today, we call out to stop the war. In order for us to understand this heightening wars that is looming in the region, we have to understand the context of these wars and the threat of the escalation of these wars, including the threat of nuclear war. We know that since the financial crisis of 2008, the world capitalist system plunged into a prolonged recession worsened by the COVID-19 pandemic. Global growth is expected to further decrease from 5.7% in 2021 to 2.9% in 2022. Among the developing economies, growth is also expected to decrease from 6.6% in 2021 to 3.4% in 2022, which is said to be well below the annual average of 4.8% during the period of 2011 to 2019. Other manifestations of this global crisis are the debt crisis, inflation, and it is said that the United States, for example, will be suffering from stagflation, which is stagnant growth with inflation, the food crisis, high oil price, global unemployment crisis, poverty, and hunger, especially in poor countries. In relation to the oil price hike, which is affecting all the countries
Recording
of the
in
world,
progress.
especially the Philippines, we can say that contrary to what our economists are saying, the increasing prices of oil is not really solely because of the war in Ukraine, but the high prices is a result of the control of production and prices by the multinational oil companies. These companies are able to dictate the level of production and the price of oil, and they are able also to exploit the war in Ukraine in order to speculate on the prices and profit tremendously from such war. Secondarily, the sanction that is imposed by the United States when they announce it, and actually when the European Union also announced it, immediately there was speculation and an increase in the price of oil, even if they said that the European Union said that it will take about 6 to 8 months for them to actually implement the sanctions. No? So we can already see that the oil producers and the speculators are already profiting from the war and even justifying the war as the result of this increase in prices. But of course, we know that the sanctions will, once it takes into effect, will actually result in the shortage of oil, and which will put an additional burden to its price. So this global crisis propelled the major capitalist countries, as I've said, the US, China, Russia, and the main big European countries, to redivide the world and establish their dominance over the markets and the world's resources for exploitation and for super profit. The Asia-Pacific region has been identified by both the US and China as an important geographical platform for their economic, political, and military interests. And the United States has begun to implement the policy of pivot to East Asia, starting with the Obama administration. It continued during the Trump regime and is now repackaged by President Biden as the Indo-Pacific strategy aimed to contain the rise of China and assert U.S. dominance in the region. The recent initiatives of the United States in the region are the creation of the Quad, no, which is comprised by the U.S., Japan, Australia, and India. Quad is a strategic security dialogue among these countries and is seen as an important structure for their pivot to Asia agenda. And then we have the AUKUS, which is a trilateral security pact between Australia, UK, and US for the Indo-Pacific area. And it focuses on developing military capability with the US and UK, no, helping Australia to acquire nuclear submarines. And then there is also the Five Eyes Intelligence Sharing Alliance with the US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. And there is a strategic partnership with traditional allies like the ASEAN. Of course, there is the Philippines, South Korea, Japan, Australia, and Singapore. China, on the other hand, is prioritizing East Asia or the Western Pacific. They have the Belt and Road Initiative, which is an ambitious infrastructure project to connect and integrate the region. And already, 60 countries with 2/3 of the world's population has signed on to the project. And then, of course, they have the RCEP, which is the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, the Shanghai Cooperation Agreement, and the military bases, no? which is a new development. As we know in the Philippines, China has been building military installations in man-made islands in the South China Sea, and it is said that they have built military installation in the Spratly Islands. Russia also has taken recent effort in the region with a 5-year roadmap focused on trade and investment with the ASEAN. And of course, NATO, which is having its annual summit in June of this year, also sees China as a systematic challenge to the security of the alliance. But across the region, people's movements against these imperialist wars are being organized and expanding, no, rapidly. We are saying that the world stage should not be dominated by these imperialist countries. The peoples in the Asia-Pacific have a lot of stake, and they have all the right as a people to determine their fate and to fight against imperialist wars and establish peace in the region. Peace is what the peoples of Asia and Asia-Pacific want, and we will struggle and fight for peace. Thank you very much.